A world where the impossible is normal. Machines move, create, and power themselves. Cities run quietly, efficiently, almost invisibly. And one name sits at the center of it all: Maxwell Chikumbutso. While the world debates incremental improvements, he builds machines decades ahead. Machines that feel like they were designed for 2050 but exist today. Welcome to a journey into Maxwell Chikumbutso's craziest innovations, technology that doesn't just imagine the future, it creates it. The first innovation isn't flashy. You might even miss it at first glance. A small, unassuming electric hatchback. But inside, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The car doesn't need a plug. Not really. Instead, it harvests energy from everything. Every vibration of the road. Every heat differential in the engine. Even the air flowing around it. Micro-energy, collected constantly, feeding the battery like a quiet heartbeat. Drive downhill, and the battery increases. Stop at a traffic light, and it continues to feed itself. This isn't science fiction. It's engineering taken to an art form. And Maxwell doesn't stop with small cars. Because the next creation is heavy, brutal, industrial. A steel-framed pickup truck that becomes more efficient the harder it works. Every ton of cargo, every bump in the road, every braking motion feeds the battery back. Construction crews reported something strange. When hauling their heaviest equipment, the truck's range actually increased. And at night, it powered the entire worksite, lights, tools, even compressors, off the energy it harvested during the day. Meanwhile, in the sky, Maxwell's vision reaches further. A sleek electric aircraft, its wings layered with solar skin, airflow turbines hidden in the fuselage, gliding through the clouds while generating energy as it flies. Pilots describe it as surreal. It doesn't consume power in the way we understand. It negotiates it. Every descent, every turn, every beam of sunlight becomes fuel. And while these machines redefine individual transportation, Maxwell's mind moves bigger. Buses, trucks, even mobile energy labs that feed entire towns. Roads embedded with hidden induction strips that subtly top up vehicles as they drive. A self-sustaining ecosystem of motion and energy, quietly building itself around our everyday lives. But the craziest part? It isn't just about powering machines. It's about independence. A vehicle that powers itself can power your home, your tools, your lights. It changes the very idea of dependence on the grid. And while the world worries about charging stations, cables, and plugs, Maxwell's machines move silently past those limitations. He's not just building inventions. He's building freedom. Freedom to drive. Freedom to power. Freedom from the constraints of energy itself. And somewhere in a quiet workshop, the next creation is already taking shape. A machine that might make the previous ones feel small. A vehicle that doesn't just sustain itself, but interacts with the world in ways we haven't even imagined yet. It's low. It's wide. Predatory in design. Minimalist, almost alien. And when it moves, the rules of physics themselves seem to bend. Because Maxwell doesn't just push boundaries. He redraws them. And just when you think you've seen it all, the question becomes obvious. If these are the inventions of today, because Maxwell doesn't just imagine the future, he builds it. The next innovation is subtle, almost invisible at first glance. A compact electric SUV, looking ordinary. 5 seats. Clean lines. Unassuming design. But it doesn't just drive. It thinks about energy. Every movement is calculated. AI-controlled acceleration avoids waste. Tires adjust pressure automatically to reduce drag. Braking is optimized to recover as much energy as possible. Short city trips? The battery often ends the day higher than it started. Families forget to plug it in. Weeks pass. Months pass. And still, it never needs a charger. Then Maxwell turns attention to the roads themselves. What if vehicles weren't alone in harvesting energy? What if the roads became part of the system? Pilot stretches of street appear, embedded with subtle induction zones. Invisible to the eye, they top up passing EVs. Every commute becomes a silent energy exchange. A car drives to work, and the road quietly whispers, "Keep going." The implications are enormous. No chargers. No stops. Energy becomes background noise, seamless, invisible, effortless. And then comes the roaming grid. At first, it looks like a trailer. Just a long, rectangular unit being towed behind a truck. But when detached, it powers everything around it. Lights, tools, laptops, even other EVs. Solar arrays unfold, vertical wind turbines spin. Flywheel storage hums quietly, collecting kinetic energy. It's not a truck, not a generator, not even a vehicle in the traditional sense. It's a mobile energy platform. And while the world watches, Maxwell keeps pushing further. A small electric motorcycle, harvesting motion from every vibration, every weight shift, every acceleration. Even the rider contributes energy. A freight hauler with kinetic oscillation systems, fully loaded, yet somehow more efficient than when empty. A passenger bus with an electromagnetic induction array underneath. After an entire day of city loops, the battery drops only 3%. Then, the aerial innovation, a fully electric, self-sustaining aircraft. Solar membranes across the wings, airflow turbines, regenerative descent systems. It doesn't consume energy, it trades with the environment. And yet, Maxwell isn't done. Because his next creation doesn't just sustain itself. It powers everything around it. Every street it drives on, every building it passes, every system in its reach, fed silently, effortlessly, like a quiet heartbeat of energy. It's not about vehicles anymore. It's about an ecosystem. A world where energy flows freely, silently, invisibly. Where dependency on plugs, stations, and grids becomes obsolete. And somewhere in his workshop, sparks fly, metal bends, circuits glow, blueprints shift and redraw themselves. Maxwell is already building the next step. A machine that will make the previous innovations feel small, one that will interact with the world, the environment, and even other machines in ways we can barely imagine. And that's where Maxwell's true genius begins to show. Because the next innovations aren't just vehicles, they're experiments in rewriting the rules of energy itself. The first of these is deceptively simple. A compact city hatchback, looking almost ordinary but powered by a regenerative loop system unlike anything most engineers have seen. It collects energy from vibrations, heat, wheel rotation, and even airflow, turning the smallest inefficiencies into fuel. Drive downhill and the battery climbs. Stop at a red light, and the car still feeds itself. Then Maxwell scales up. A massive steel-framed pickup truck, seemingly heavy and cumbersome, but the more weight it carries, the more energy it generates. Every bump, every dip, every ton of cargo turns into electricity. Construction crews reported watching the battery meter increase while hauling their heaviest loads. Then comes the futuristic bus, 40 seats, air conditioning, heavy frame, normally a battery guzzler. But Maxwell's bus uses electromagnetic induction with the road surface. After full days of city loops, its battery barely drops. Next, a sleek, low-profile vehicle that looks like it belongs in a sci-fi movie. The body is a full photovoltaic membrane. Roof, doors, hood, sides, all collecting energy. Street lamps, reflected light, even cloudy daylight. It's less a car and more a rolling power plant. And its AI energy management predicts routes, traffic, and weather, deciding in real time when to store, use, or redistribute power. Then Maxwell pushes further, a full-size electric long-range cruiser. Massive, smooth composite panels, no visible charging ports. Multiple energy harvesting systems stacked together. Solar, kinetic, thermal, airflow. Tests show something unbelievable. After days of driving, the battery barely dips. Its independence packaged in steel. Next, a sleek electric motorcycle, small, lightweight, harvesting energy from every motion, every vibration, every rider shift. City weaving, stop-and-go traffic, it all feeds the battery. Even playful rides make it more efficient. Then comes a freight hauler with internal kinetic oscillation systems. Fully loaded, it's more efficient than empty. Delivery companies use its leftover energy to power warehouse equipment. A small electric SUV follows. Ordinary in appearance, but so energy efficient that families forget to charge it for weeks. The AI optimizes acceleration, braking, and tires. The car becomes nearly self-sufficient. Road infrastructure evolves too. Maxwell introduces induction-charged roads, barely visible, feeding vehicles silently as they drive. Then the roaming grid, a mobile energy lab disguised as a trailer. It powers lights, laptops, tools, even other EVs while moving or parked. Solar wings, vertical wind turbines, flywheel storage, a mobile power plant that goes anywhere. And finally, a fully electric aircraft. Solar membranes, airflow turbines, regenerative descent systems. It doesn't just fly, it generates energy midair. Every system feeds itself. Every descent, glide, and sunlight beam becomes fuel. And as all these machines operate together, a pattern emerges. An ecosystem. A world where energy isn't consumed, it's circulated. Where motion itself becomes fuel. Where dependency on the grid, chargers, or stations disappears. And somewhere in a quiet workshop, Maxwell sketches the next build. A vehicle even more advanced. A machine that doesn't just sustain itself, it interacts with the environment, with other machines, with energy itself, in ways we can barely comprehend. The question isn't how far it can go. It's how far the world can follow. And as that machine takes shape, the line between science fiction and reality disappears. Because Maxwell Chikumbutso isn't just building vehicles. He's building the future. And Maxwell doesn't stop at individual vehicles. Because the real magic happens when they operate together. Imagine a city where every car, every bus, every truck isn't just moving, they're feeding energy back into the system. A neighborhood where the roads themselves are subtly alive, whispering power into passing vehicles. Charging stations become optional. Plugging in becomes optional. Energy flows naturally, silently, like air. Maxwell's innovations aren't just vehicles. They're part of a living, breathing ecosystem. And then there's the experiment no one expected, the fusion of all his technologies into one single platform. A machine that's part car, part generator, part mobile lab. Every surface harvests energy. Every motion creates power. Every interaction with the environment feeds it further. Solar skin across the body. Kinetic suspension underneath. Induction plates hidden along the wheels. Wind turbines embedded along its sides. Flywheel storage humming quietly in the chassis. When it moves, it charges itself. When it parks, it powers everything around it. Construction crews, city planners, and even other vehicle operators witness the impossible. It powers an entire site. Lights, tools, EVs, everything. And the battery barely drops. This isn't a single invention. It's a statement. A demonstration of what's possible when you refuse to accept limits. And Maxwell knows something the world doesn't. Energy scarcity isn't inevitable. Dependence on stations and plugs isn't a rule. The system can be rewritten. And while competitors scramble to catch up, Maxwell quietly sketches the next breakthrough. Something smaller, faster, more integrated with environment. Something that learns. Something that predicts. Something that adapts. Because for him, innovation isn't about making headlines. It's about bending reality itself. And somewhere tonight in his workshop, sparks jump, metal bends, circuits glow, blueprints transform. Another impossible machine is coming. And when it finally hits the roads or skies, the rules of energy, transportation, and independence will shift again. Because Maxwell Chikumbutso isn't just building self-sustaining machines. He's building a world where energy flows freely, where vehicles think, where roads feed you, where independence isn't a privilege, it's the new normal. And the most shocking part? This is only the beginning. The future he's creating isn't 2050. It's today. Because Maxwell's vision doesn't stop with machines. He's reimagining the entire ecosystem of transportation. The next innovation takes place on the roads themselves. Invisible induction strips embedded in asphalt quietly feed vehicles as they pass. Traffic lights, street lamps, even bridges, each subtly harvesting and redistributing energy. A city in which movement itself generates power. Commuters drive to work, and their vehicles charge automatically. Buses glide silently through downtown, their batteries barely dropping. Electric trucks haul heavy cargo, yet grow more efficient with weight. Even the smallest motorbikes and family SUVs become energy neutral, harvesting motion, vibration, and sunlight. But Maxwell doesn't stop at road-based vehicles. He builds mobile energy platforms, roaming grids that power entire construction sites, hospitals, or disaster zones. A single machine powers everything around it while moving. Lights, tools, other EVs, even small homes. No plugs, no stations, no infrastructure dependency. And the synergy begins. Vehicles communicate with each other. Energy harvested in one vehicle supports another nearby. Roads, vehicles, and infrastructure operate as a single ecosystem. Motion becomes fuel. Independence becomes standard. And somewhere in his quiet workshop, Maxwell sketches the next impossible idea. A machine that adapts to its surroundings in real time. That interacts with roads, other vehicles, sunlight, wind, and motion, turning the world itself into a limitless power source. Imagine a city where energy scarcity is impossible, where vehicles power homes, streets power cars, air currents charge aircraft, where the world hums quietly, powered by motion, sunlight, and innovation. And as the newest prototype takes shape, sparks fly across metal and circuits. The workshop glows under the soft hum of machines coming alive. And while the world sleeps, another impossible invention quietly rolls forward, ready to challenge every assumption we've ever had about transportation and energy. Because with Maxwell Chikumbutso, the future isn't coming, it's already here. And the next leap? It's closer than you think. And now, as we look at all these incredible inventions together, one thing becomes clear. Maxwell Chikumbutso isn't just building vehicles. He's building a new way of thinking about energy, mobility, and independence. A world where machines don't just consume, they create. Where roads, vehicles, and infrastructure work in harmony. Where motion itself becomes power. Where charging stations, cables, and limits are no longer relevant. The future isn't coming. The future is here. And it's moving silently, efficiently, and impossibly forward, powered by Maxwell's vision. Every car, every bus, every truck, every aircraft, every mobile power lab, a glimpse of what's possible when innovation refuses to accept limits. The question isn't whether the world can keep up. It's whether we're ready to embrace a reality where energy flows freely and independence is the new normal. And as Maxwell continues to push the boundaries, one thing is certain. The best is still yet to come. The future isn't something we wait for.